Hare Krishna. Today we're going to talk about what is humility. When I was a new devotee, it was quite difficult for me to really understand what humility is, how to acquire that quality, and how to manifest it. So, in this talk today, I am describing it mostly with the help of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He wrote a commentary on the Shikshastaka. This was published in following the Golden Volcano. So in that same book, there is that section. And also, I'm quoting Srila Prabhupada and Sripad Narsinga Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So let's begin. What is Vaishnava humility? Why do we have to be humble? What does it mean to be humble? What are the symptoms of a humble Vaishnava? Those are the questions we may ask. Lord Chaitanya gives us the answer in his Shikshastaka prayer. Verse 3. Trinad api suni shena, tarar api iva shahishnuna, amani manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One who seeks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who does not expect personal honor, but is always prepared to give all respect to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. End of quote. We should try to understand the method recommended by Sriman Mahaprabhu. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila, chapter 20, verse 31, it is stated by Kaviraj Das Goswami, in great humility, considering himself a conditioned soul of the material world, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again expressed his desire to be endowed with service to the Lord. End of quote. To serve the Lord requires humility. We won't be able to assist Krishna's pastimes by trying to enter those pastimes forcefully with our head held high. The first thing we have to realize is that we are fallen, conditioned souls, and we have absolutely nothing to offer the Lord. Not a flower, not a fruit, nor tons of gold. All this already belongs to the Lord. When we offer such things, we are like the little child who offers his dad a gift with the dad's money. We have nothing to offer, only our love. And we have no qualifications for that at the moment. Only through the mercy of our Guru Varga can we hope to be invited to serve. And there is no guarantee that we will be allowed to enter if we follow the process. It's not 1, 2, 3, I do my rounds, and 1, 2, 3, I do my offerings, and 1, 2, 3, It's not mechanical. So only through the mercy of our Guru Varga can we hope to be invited to serve. And there is no guarantee that we will be allowed to enter if we follow the process. Only through the mercy of the Vaishnavas can we hope to be accepted. We need to please those great Vaishnavas. That is all that is required. No other special meditation on Krishna's intimate pastimes is required. We just have to try to satisfy Krishna and the Vaishnavas. Once the Vaishnavas are happy with us, we can know that Krishna is accepting our service. to please the Vaishnavas and our Guru should be our only business. And on a different level, on the other hand, some people think that humble circumstances or poverty qualify as humility. When we meet such people, we actually might see some external show of humility. We might think, oh, those poor people are so humble. But those circumstances are the result of karma, not of humility. So, this is another way to understand what is and what is not Vaishnava humility. And going even further, Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that persons who are actually very poor because they possess not even a drop of love of Godhead or pure devotional service falsely advertise themselves as great devotees, although they cannot at any time relish the transcendental bliss of devotional service. When one is actually advanced in ecstatic love of Krishna, he does not try to advertise himself. Instead, he endeavors more and more to render service to the Lord. End of quote by Srila Prabhupada. You will recognize a humble Vaishnava who is actually an Uttama Adhikari by the fact that he does not advertise himself as such. And if you're afraid of Vaishnava parade, insulting Vaishnavas, then humility is a cure. If we are humble, there is very little chances for us to commit Vaishnava parades, and there is nothing worse than a mad elephant in your garden. That is what Vaishnava parade has been compared to. The garden is your bhakti, and the apparat is the elephant. It destroys everything in seconds. That is another reason to understand humility and to learn how to be humble. And now, let's learn what is the meaning of humility with the help of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary on the third verse of Shikshastaka. Srila Sridhar Maharaj writes in his commentary on the Shikshastaka prayers, we should try to see how insult, poverty, punishment, or other unfavorable dealings are necessary to purify us, and with minimal punishment we shall be released from material existence. We should learn to see Krishna in anything that comes to disturb or attack us. End of quote. What a precarious position we are in. At any time, we are liable to lose everything due to misfortune or bad karma. Tell me if we can hold our head high in such circumstances. And let's agree that accepting your fate humbly is better than raging against it. In other words, something bad happens to us and we think, oh, that's not fair. Krishna is not being fair. What's the point of raging against it? Srila Sridhar Maharaj continues. When we want to bring ourselves in a closer relationship with the infinite goodness, we should think, I have no value. Rather, my value is negative. It is my tendency to oppose the Lord's grace. If Krishna wants to grace me, I try to resist. I am constituted of such an element that I commit spiritual suicide. Krishna comes to grace me, but I oppose him. The energy that is within me tries for suicide. That is my position. But a blade of grass won't oppose anyone. I have such a nasty position. We must realize that we are in such a predicament. With this concern, we may accept the goodness of the Absolute Truth in the form of His holy name. End of quote. So our position is not so great. We are fallen jivas in the material world. And Lord Chaitanya came to give us the most precious gift, the holy name. This holy name is going to allow us to give up our lower interactions with the material world. It's going to peel the layers one by one of our stone-like heart. Srila Sridhar Maharaj stresses that we are actually lower than a blade of grass. Why? Because our tendency is to resist the Supreme Lord. A blade of grass is carried by the current. It does not resist. We are actually in this material world because we resist the will of Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives support to this in the following statement. He says, if that jiva cultivates the mentality that is lower than the straw, his intellect is fixed upon giving respect to others, and he takes shelter of Harinam, then he will attain the mercy of Krishna and the sadhus. End of quote by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find Antya Lila, chapter 20, we find more evidences for this resisting mentality and lack of humility, which is not present in the pure devotee. Quote, there are the symptoms of one who chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. These are the symptoms of one who chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Although he is very exalted, he thinks himself lower than the grass on the ground, and like a tree, he tolerates everything in two ways. When a tree is cut down, it does not protest, and even when drying up, it doesn't ask anyone for water. The tree delivers its fruits, flowers, and whatever else it possesses to anyone and everyone. It tolerates scorching heat and torrents of rain, yet it still gives shelter to others. Although Vaishnava is the most exalted person, he is prideless and gives all respect to everyone, knowing everyone to be the resting place of Krishna. If one chants the holy name of the Lord Krishna in this manner, he will certainly awaken his dormant love for Krishna's lotus feet. End of quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, chapter 20, verse 22, 23, 24, and 25. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur says that the devotee does not care about his own happiness and distress. He is simply interested in seeing that Krishna is happy, and for that purpose he engages in various activities. A pure devotee has no way of sensing happiness except by seeing that Krishna is happy in every respect. If Krishna becomes happy by giving him distress, such a devotee accepts that unhappiness as the greatest of all happiness. Those who are materialistic, however, who are very proud of material wealth and have no spiritual knowledge, like the Prakrita Sahajas, regard their own happiness as the aim of life. Some of them aspire to enjoy themselves by sharing the happiness of Krishna. This is a mentality of fruitive workers who wants to enjoy sense gratification by making a show of service to Krishna. And then he adds, a devotee who is satisfied only with his own sense gratification certainly falls down from the service of Krishna. By being attracted by material happiness, he later joins the Prakrita Sahajas, who are considered to be non-devotees. End of quote. So this is heavy. Prakrita Sahajas are actually considered to be non-devotees by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta himself. Srila Sridhar Maharaj continues in his commentary on the Shikshastaka prayers. So through Krishna consciousness, we have connected with the highest object of life, the highest fulfillment of life. What price are we ready to pay for that? End of quote. So, are we ready to pay any price to attain our spiritual goal? It does not matter in which ashram we are, like Brahmachari ashram, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas ashram. We should have a bit of the sannyas mentality in all those ashrams. So, we do our duty, fulfill our dharma, but we need to discriminate how we are going to make progress, even, by example, as a householder. Despite other duties, the service connection and chanting are of utmost importance. It is difficult to be a householder in this time period, because making money and putting food on the table, surviving, is all time consuming. Most devotees will be householders for some time, and how to get through that demanding period and reach our spiritual destination? How not to lose the goal? The key is to remember our ideal. Never forget your ideal. And our ideal as Vaishnava is to follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. It is not about how many rounds we chant or how refined is your service. It's about quality Nam chanting and conscious devotional service. It is about pleasing Guru and Krishna. What price do we attach to this? As a householder, I made this my goal. That allowed me to focus on my duty and at the same time to keep making advancement. Srila Maharaj continues. It is inconceivable. Whatever little demands may be exacted from us, we must accept with a smiling face, considering the highest goal. If we are really confident, if we have faith in our bright future, then we can gladly pay what little price nature wants to take from us. The advanced devotees are established in the consciousness that Krishna is behind everything, and they take everything in that way. This attitude is our beacon light, for it will guide us to adjust ourselves with those things that are apparently unfavorable to us. A sweet adjustment is found there, and so we are advised to be more tolerant than a tree. We may not give any opposition. Still, opposition will come to disturb us, and we must forbear. End of quote by Srila Maharaj. Nothing happens by accident. Not a blade of grass moves without Krishna's will. For a devotee, everything happens for his enlightenment. He or she will see that my difficulties are teaching me something. And the same devotee will accept everything as Krishna's mercy. Srila Maharaj continues. And we must show our respect to others. Prestige is the greatest and most subtle enemy of the devotee of Krishna. Pride is the worst enemy for the devotee of Krishna. And pride ultimately takes one to the conclusion of the Mayavadis, the monists. They say, Soham, I am. Not Dasoham, I'm subordinate. But I am the supreme element. I am that. I am He with a capital H. Eliminating from their consideration the fact that we are teeny and suffering in misery. All these practical things are ignored by the Mayavadis, the impersonalists. But position or ego, pratishta, is our worst enemy. End of quote by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Too much immersing in household life might cost you your Krishna consciousness. You have to see everything as Krishna's will. Accept whatever he sends, whatever difficulties he sends, as his mercy. That is his will. That is his desire for us to be purified in a particular way. And also, we can note that Srila Prabhupada was always on the Mayavadi case, especially in the 60s and 70s. Why? Well, naturally, because of the Mayavadis coming to preach in the West, he was giving a big warning. But he was also addressing our impersonal side. Because when we are full of pride, that is a manifestation of Mayavada, the impersonal tendency. The Mayavadi will declare Soham, which means I am the Supreme. And the devotee will say Dasoham, I am the servant. That is the difference. A Mayavadi thinks he is Narayan himself. He has no understanding that we are servants of the Lord, not the Lord himself. And that we will never become the Lord in any circumstances. We are parts and parcel of Narayan Krishna, yes, but we are far from being Krishna. We effectively are a particle of dust. We are teeny, anu, very small. Our tendency is to be covered over by the Lord's potency, Mahamaya. This realization that we really do not have anything to offer the Lord is good. That is the humility required to be successful in attaining the service of the Lord. However, to be humble in the face of an attack on your guru or the temple deities is not correct. In this case, our service is to protect both the guru and the deities. We have to be ready to give our life in order to protect them. They are the important personalities. We are nothing. We are of no importance. Our ego may protest such a statement, but it is a fact that we have no value without Guru and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada used to say, if we have a bunch of zeros, it's nothing, it's zero. But if we put a 1 in front of 0, we may have 1 million, 1 trillion. So the Guru is a 1. Krishna is a 1. We are the zeros. So our saving grace is our Guru's effort to guide us towards Krishna. Once someone asked Srila Prabhupada what merit or austerities we have performed in our past lives to get this association, and he answered, you have no merit. You are here by my mercy. Srila Prabhupada spoke these words. Actually, it is not possible to understand Krishna consciousness by practicing austerities, by following regulative principles, by chanting a certain number of rounds, even by reading books. One cannot understand Krishna consciousness. The secrets of Krishna consciousness are hidden within the hearts of Krishna's pure devotees. And there is absolutely no way we can even understand and realize this computational knowledge unless we find a pure devotee of Krishna and surrender to him completely and make his instructions our life and soul. Then, if we are successful in getting the blessings and mercy of Krishna's pure devotee, it will be possible for us to understand Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, Krishna consciousness will remain for us forever something theoretical, and we will never experience the transcendental bliss, the happiness, the ecstasy, and the real spiritual realizations that a real devotee experiences when practicing Krishna consciousness under the direction of his bona fide, pure devotee, spiritual master. End of quote by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Sridhar Maharaj continues from his commentary on the Shikshastakam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you must not desire respect from anyone or even from the environment itself. At the same time, you must give prestige to everyone and everything in the environment according to its position. Show respect, but don't desire any respect from outside. We must be very particular about this, for pride is our hidden enemy, our worst enemy. If we can somehow avoid or conquer this enemy, we will be able to enter into the slave area of Krishna and join those who have given their lives wholesale in sacrifice to him. The general meaning of this verse is, never seek position or prestige from any quarter. At the same time, give honor to one and all according to your understanding. Of course, in great humility, Das Goswami once prayed, O my mind, my brother, I fall at your feet and implore you. Give up all pride and always taste ecstatic love while remembering the divine guide, the holy abode of Vrindavan, the cowed and milkmaids of Raja, the loving devotees of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, the gods on earth and pure brahmanas. The Gayatri Mantra, the holy names of Shri Krishna, and the divine, useful couple of Raja, Shri Shri Radha, Govinda, Sundara. End of quote by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So, if we can follow in the footsteps of Das Goswami, who prays, O mind, my brother, I fall at your feet and implore you, give up all pride, and always taste ecstatic love while remembering the divine guide, the holy abode of Vrindavan, the cowed and milkmaid of Raja, the loving devotees of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, the gods on earth or pure brahmanas, the Gayatri Mantra, the holy names of Shri Krishna, and the divine couple of Raja, Shri Shri Radha, Govinda, Sundara, we will be greatly benefited by this remembrance. In the middle of our miserable condition, we can remember this prayer and we will be greatly benefited indeed. In other words, become the servant of the servant of the servant of the Vaishnavas in truth, in reality, or at least make this your goal, your ideal. And that means, first of all, that you won't expect to be reciprocated in any way for your devotional service. And don't let yourself be carried away by teeny acquisitions, like prestigious moments or gains, which is related to money or physical comfort. It is very subtle, and you must give up your anarthas first. In other words, watch for those subtle signs of trying to enjoy or be on top of the game, trying to be the best devotee or trying to be heard in front of your betters. Humility has been displayed by Lord Chaitanya to the utmost, and he even enjoyed it. It is like giving away everything for Krishna, expecting nothing in return. At that point, the gates of Goloka Vrindavan will open. A great example of a humble Vaishnava behavior was Srila Puri Maharaj, who in his old age would ask forgiveness to anyone he thought he offended or did not satisfy. With folded hands, he would ask for forgiveness with tears in his eyes to the smallest devotee. However, he showed all the symptoms of prema. Therefore, his humility was genuine. Srila Sridhar Maharaj himself could hardly tolerate his Vyasapuj day and sat with bowed head while his disciples glorified him. This is recounted in Ashutyânanda's book, Blazing Sadhus. What struck him most was that for Vyasapuj Day, when he visited Srila Maharaj, he noticed how shameful he looked when he received the Vyasapuj offerings from his disciples. Such a glorification of himself was unbearable for him. Do not have a calculating mind with the Vaishnavas. Don't try to present yourself as very humble. That is not a process. The soul, in its ecstatic state, is naturally endowed with humility. Rather, aspire to follow on in the footsteps of the great Vaishnavas. We all want to go back home, back to Godhead, ultimately. When we follow the process, all the material coverings fall away. We just have to question our motivations carefully as we practice. We have to be on the alert for subtle or not so subtle Avaishnava behavior within. Humility means for us to realize that we have no qualifications of any kind to offer our service to Krishna. Our only qualification is our Guru Maharaj's mercy. Once we become empty, free from that false ego that makes us think we are something important, we are ready to accept service to the absolute good, Shri Krishna, reality the beautiful. A phrase that Srila Maharaj has coined in the 80s while speaking to us, the Western devotees. Krishna, reality the beautiful. Srila Maharaj continues in his explanation. Of course, anyone may deceive the ordinary public with superficial humility, but a show of humility is not real humility. It must come from the heart, and it must have a real purpose. Everything, humility, tolerance, and pridelessness, must be considered to be the judgment of a standard, normal person, not by the ignorant who are like elephants, tigers, and jackals. Should they be allowed to judge what is humility? What is audacity and impertinence? Of course not. Should a devotee think the deity and the temple is about to be molested, but I shall stand by and do nothing? I should be humble and tolerant? A dog is entering the temple? I should show him respect? No, this is not real humility. End of quote by Srila Maharaj. You certainly do not want to think like that. If you think you are being humble and tolerant while the deities are being attacked or your guru insulted, you are greatly mistaken. Certainly not. That is a time to react and protest what you hold so dear. Do you think that these situations are an opportunity to show that you are more tolerant than a tree? Your service is to take care of their personalities and protect them. We must be ready to risk our life for them. Humility means to give respect to others and to expect no respect for ourselves. We need to understand what it is to be honored. When we are insulted, we do not care. Actually, we can get great benefit from hearing the criticism of such people. We can examine what they say for our benefit. Most of the time, our friends won't point out our shortcomings, but someone else might. At that time, we are shocked but we can examine peacefully if there is any truth in such statements and work on our anarthas. But if such criticism is addressed to our guardians, our guru, our Vaishnava friends, superiors, we do not make a show of meekness. We respond in kind and defend our Guru Varga. Srila Maharaj speaks some more on the subject. We have a normal conception of reality, he says. We must not allow these anomalies to continue in the name of offering respect to others. We must not think that we may allow anyone to harm the devotees or molest the temple, that we shall allow the dog to enter the temple, and by doing this we are humble and tolerant, we are showing all respects to others. We are not interested only in the physical meaning of the scriptures, but the real meaning. That I am humble means that I am the slave of a Vaishnava. With that consciousness, we must proceed. If anyone comes to molest my master, I should first sacrifice myself, thinking, because I am of the least importance, my sacrifice is no loss. I must sacrifice myself to maintain the dignity of my Guru, the devotees, and my Lord and his family. We must always understand what is to be honored. We offer our respects to the highest truth, the Lords of Lords. Our dealings must be in consonance with that. If we always keep in the highest conception of relativity within us, we will see that we are the lowest. If there is danger to our guardians, we shall sacrifice ourselves. All this should be taken in account when trying to understand the meaning of humility, not physical imitation, but genuine humility. It is a question of practical realization. Fame and honor must be given to the Lord and his devotees, not to anyone else. When we are preaching and have taken the responsibility of leading so many souls to the domain of the Lord, our adjustment must be made accordingly. Generally, we may be indifferent to those who are personally inimical to us. But when we preach on behalf of the Lord in an organized way, our duty changes. We cannot be indifferent to antagonists. Hanuman is a Vaishnava, but he is seen to destroy so many lives. The same is true of Arjuna and so many other devotees. Even Krishna and Ramachandra are also seen to kill so many demons in war. Simply, a physical show of meekness does not constitute the real meaning of humility. When there is an insult to the Guru or the Vaishnavas, a devotee will oppose the blasphemies according to his might. End of quote by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So, a preacher is a fighter. Arjuna was a fighter, he had to kill so many people. We have also Hanuman defending Ram with all his might. And even the Supreme Lord comes down to kill the demons and defend the devotees. Such great personalities do not sit idle while their friends and devotees are under attack. So a preacher is fighting Maya, a big wave of Maya. And a preacher needs to be aggressive and according to his capacity and defend the Guru Varga. That's what a preacher should do. Not sit back and eat rasgullas and collect donations. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his songs, says, we should not only tolerate the evil doings of others and a disturbing environment, but we should do good to those by whom we are being tortured. The example is given of a tree. One who is cutting the tree gets shade and comfort from the tree even while cutting it down. In conclusion, he says that humility, mercy, respect for others, and renunciation of name and fame are the 4 qualifications for chanting the holy name of Krishna. Humility, mercy, respect for others, renunciation of name and fame. Those are the 4 qualifications for chanting the holy name. This is what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. End of quote. At the time, we calculate our actions. and this might lead to commit offenses. Don't be envious. Catch yourself if you discover you are becoming envious of a Vaishnava. To be a humble Vaishnava is much rarer than we think. We have the tendency to criticize or make fun maliciously of our God brothers and sisters. Humility is what captures Krishna's attention. And Krishna kills the Keshi demon, who is the opposite of humility. He represents doubts. He had a large horse body that was so big that he could jump over the trees. Rishikesh is Krishna, the killer of the Keshi demon, the master of the senses, who can always help us attain mental serenity. According to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he represents illusion. It is therefore important to prevent such a mentality to enter the heart. Even if one is making rapid progress, humility will be one of the symptoms. If he does not pay attention, he will soon fall down. Shripad Narasimha Maharaj writes in his book Prakrita Rasa Sata Dushani, 100 Condemnations of Material Rasa. He writes, the illusion of being a great devotee or a great acharya is represented by the Keshi demon who appeared in Raja as a horse. Keshi personifies the practitioner's conception of being more expert than others in devotional service, lording it over others and material pride. When he comes to Raja, he creates a great disturbance. As a Keli-like devotee gradually begins proclaiming his own superiority, a mentality of disrespect for the Lord arises and the devotee falls from his position. Therefore, it is most important to prevent this evil mentality from entering the heart. Even if one is expert in devotional service, a Vaishnava will never give up the quality of humility. End of quote. By Srila Narasimha Maharaj. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur adds in his Krishna Samhita, chapter 8, Keshi, a demon in the form of a horse, personifies the practitioner's conception of being more expert than others in devotional service. When he comes to Vraja, he creates a great disturbance. As a Vaishnava gradually begins proclaiming his own superiority, a mentality of disrespect for the Lord arises, and the devotee falls from his position. Therefore, it is most important to prevent this evil mentality from entering the heart, even if one is expert in devotional service. A Vaishnava will never give up the quality of humility. If he does so, then there is a need for killing Keshi. End of quote by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Then Srila Maharaj concludes, we must take the position of the slave, of the slave, of the slave of the Lord. If you want to chant the name of Krishna, then don't waste your energy with the trifle things of this world. Don't allow your attention to be disturbed by teeny acquisitions like prestige or gain, which is relative to money or physical comfort. End of quote. By Srila Maharaj. Another important point is being stressed by Sripad Narasimha Maharaj in one of his articles entitled Abandon Unhealthy Mentality. Our best safeguard against Vaishnava Aparad is humility, not a calculation of humility. Oh, here is a Vaishnava, let me be careful. I shall be humble and show respect to him. No, not a show of humility by calculation. that will not help us much. What is required is a flow of real humility from the heart, which is free from envy. I envy the Vaishnavas and therefore I am calculating all my dealings with them. Envy means calculation, and this certainly leads to offenses. End of quote by Shivanaj Maharaj. And again, in his Prakrita Rasa Sutta Dushani, 100 Condemnations of Material Rasa, he adds, humility is often described as the quest jewel of the Vaishnava qualities. Humility is indeed the quality of a devotee that most attracts the Supreme Lord. We have seen that knowledge, austerity, power, becoming an author, or even a world preacher are sometimes easily achieved by those who have developed real qualities of humility, are rare souls in this world. End of quote by Shivanaj Maharaj. To summarize, we see that humility means to be lower than a blade of grass and give no resistance to the flow of incidents sent by the Supreme Lord, and to expect no respect from others, such as recognition for our services, and that we should be ready to give all respect to others, on the other hand. These steps, these activities are definitively not on the material platform and do not spur for mental calculation. At the same time, a humble devotee is always ready to defend the temple, deities, guru, and Vaishnavas, even with his life. A preacher is a fighter, and the fighting spirit comes to the surface when our parampara is under attack. We fight according to our capacity, but we do not remain passive. That is not proper humility. We cannot chant the holy name purely without such humility. Effective Nam Bhajan is performed with the utmost humility. We realize soon enough how small we are, how we are not in control, how we cannot bring our mundane mentality to the spiritual world. We need to empty ourselves of all misconceptions and come empty-handed. And finally, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives us a final word, the final word, knowing that Krishna eternally resides within all jivas, always show everyone great respect at all times. So knowing that Krishna eternally resides within all jivas, always show everyone great respect at all times. So this is his commentary on humility, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I will thank you very much for listening to this talk. And I'm quoting a lot of acharyas, and the rest of the text is my own text. I'm saying that because lots of people have asked, oh, who is writing this? Well, unfortunately, I am writing this. So I'm hoping that this talk is helping you a little bit and to understand what humility is in this case. And I'm planning to continue my videos with a reading of the Harinam Chintamani by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, translated by Swami B.V. Giri Maharaj. So that's the next project. And I might put my 2 cents in it, but mostly it's going to be the reading of the Harinam Chintamani. Very well translated. And thank you very much. And all glories to our Guru Varga, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Puri Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Saraswati Thakur, and to my Shiksha Guru, Sripad Narsimha Maharaj. Hare Krishna.